Pistons, who have won 6 of their last 7. And we're ready for the introduction of the starting lineups. Let's go to the public address voice of Chicago Stadium, Ray Clay.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The Chicago Bulls welcome the world's greatest fans to the Chicago Stadium. This afternoon's game is between the Detroit Pistons and your Chicago Bulls. And now for this afternoon's lineup. First, for the visiting Detroit Pistons. At forward, from Southeast Oklahoma State, 6'8", Dennis Rodman. A 6'9" forward from Notre Dame, Orlando Woolridge. At center, 6'11" from Georgia Tech, John Sally. At one guard from Indiana, 6'1", Isaiah Thomas. And the other guard, 6'3", from McNeese State, Joe Dumars. The Detroit Pistons are coached by Chuck Daly, assisted by Brendan Sir and Brendan Malone. The trainer is Mike Aftenauer.
Began his broadcasting career, he sounded exactly like the public address announcer, Ray Clay. Michael, was the wear and tear, all that inside stuff, exposure. Let's go to Amar.
Thank you, Amar. Well, let me tell you about the injury report. It's been an 82-game season, and it has taken a toll. For the Detroit Pistons, Bill Laimbeer has a sore shoulder and a bad leg. Orlando Woolridge has a sore Achilles tendon, but Mike Aftenauer, the trainer, told me they both will play. For the Chicago Bulls, Horace Grant will not play. He has back spasms. He won't even suit up, and in his place will be Stacey King. So now let's go back to Marv Albert.
Very nice, Ahmad. Stacey King making his 12th start of the season when Bill Cartwright was out of action at the start of the year because of a broken left hand. It was King who was the starting center and played very well. And now King is opening up at the forward position in absence of the injured Horace Grant. The officials, Hugh Evans, Wally Rooney, and Ted Bernhardt. The Detroit Pistons come off a loss to the red-hot Boston Celtics Wednesday night at home, with Boston wrapping up the Atlantic Division title with the win over Miami earlier this afternoon. They finished the regular season with 8 straight wins and 15 of the last 16, and of course they've done it recently with Larry Bird sidelined by the back spasms. So Detroit's last outing was a loss to the Celtics. Chicago coming off a Friday night clobbering of the Atlanta Hawks at the Omni in Atlanta, 121-95, a game that saw the Bulls shoot 65%, and coming up with victory number 66, which is a franchise record. Isaiah Thomas and Bill Cartwright with the rebound.
I think Isaiah Thomas is going to try to have a real big first quarter here. Get off early to see if he can put the pressure on Paxson. If he can do that, he'll then force Chicago to start double teaming. That opens up other shots.
But Paxson opens up by hitting Dumars to give the Bulls a 2-0 lead.
And that little one-on-one matchup will take place in different ways. Isaiah trying to do it off the dribble penetration. John Paxson just by spotting up, waiting for the opportunity for an open shot.
And Dumars unleashes. Again, it is Cartwright with the rebound. There's Scottie Pippen, who comes off a strong game Friday against Atlanta. Stacey King posting up on John Sally. Cartwright guarded by Woolridge. Shot clock down to 5. Jordan off the fake. Yes. The Bulls 4 and the Pistons nothing. And it looked like Joe Dumars came up hobbling off that spin move by Jordan. Dumars slow to move down court. Well, he looks all right. Rodman picked up on a switch. Here's Dumars. And the Bulls get it back.
Again, the premise for Detroit on the attack on the offensive end of the floor is let the guards start it off, let them start beating people off the dribble, draw defensive players, and then involve the teammates with drop-off passes. That time Joe Dumars just couldn't make the shuffle pass.
Cartwright to the fadeaway. The Bulls with a 6-0 start. Michael Jordan telling us earlier today the last 6-7 games of the season. A foul called on King. Last 6-7 games have been like forever. You get the idea that Michael and the Bulls have been restless as they await the end of this record-setting regular season.
Well, the season is played for a number of small goals, short-term goals, so to say. And then when you accomplish all those, the last of which was would they wind up with the best record ever in the NBA. When that fell by the wayside, then it's like, let's get to the playoffs.
The Pistons with their first field goal. Orlando Woolridge with the side jump, so the Bulls now lead it by the score of 6-2. If Chicago wins this afternoon, they will finish 67-15. Scottie Pippen makes it 4 for 4 for the Bulls. And a record of 67-15 would be the 4th best percentage of all time. Dumars lost it off the foot and then stepped on the midcourt line, so it is a backcourt violation.
Two clear-cut examples that Stacey King has been told on the pick and rolls with Chicago. Don't only step out hard. Make sure you're out there. Let them know we're coming after them. An aggressive attitude at the defensive end, something that Phil Jackson talked to us about yesterday, and the players also. The message has been sent. The defense must be tightened up as we approach playoff time.
Yes, that is the one down area that Phil said the coaches are dealing with, but I think that's something that they can look at as a natural development when there's very little to play for, because you have to work hard defensively. Woolridge lost it. King for Cartwright. A very fast start by the Bulls, and Detroit takes a timeout.
What appears to be a sure layup at the one end of the floor with Orlando Woolridge going to the basket. The crossover right there, a deflection by Paxson, turns around and leads to a scoring opportunity for the Chicago Bulls at the other end of the floor. And this is what their game is all about. Produce easy baskets with aggressive defense.
Well, what a magnificent season it has been for the Bulls. They have averaged 110 points a game. They allow 99.5, so the point differential is better than 10 points per game. That's the average margin of victory. They're followed by the Blazers in that department, and the Pistons, who keep the scores low as the #1 defensive team in the NBA with only a 2.3-point differential.
So what that means for coaches is Phil Jackson every once in a while gets an easy night. He can lay back in that chair. Chuck Daly, every night's a struggle for Detroit.
King off the miss by Woolridge. Yes, Chicago involved in a host of blowouts, adding to that 10.3-point differential. 4 minutes gone by in the first quarter. Jordan, and a loose ball foul is called against the Bulls. It's on King.
You'd like to say that when you look up at the scoreboard and see a 10-2 advantage in favor of the Bulls, that Chicago came here this afternoon to make a very strong statement. And perhaps Detroit not as strong a statement. That's not the case right now. Detroit is playing very hard. They're just not making some shots and turning the ball over on some easy opportunity situations.
Thomas will not get the continuation. Foul on Paxson before the shot attempt. Substitution, Scott Williams in his second year out of North Carolina will check in. And he replaces Stacey King. Horace Grant, bothered by the back problem, it does afford an opportunity for Phil Jackson to get some minutes for other people. Certainly he would prefer that Horace be healthy, but now we will see more of the likes of King and Williams and Cliff Levingston. Thomas played by Paxson. Robin getting it back out for Dumars. Yes. The Bulls 10, the Pistons 4.
Normally that's a guard, dribble penetrating, kicking out to an open forward or center. A little reverse in the action there. The forward does the dribble penetrating, finds the open guard.
The matchup, Dumars and Jordan. And Jordan goes around Dumars and is fouled by Sally. The Piston bench wanted a tie-up. They thought it should be a jump ball.
See, if you kick out to Rodman, he's not likely to make a perimeter shot. But when Rodman can find the Joe Dumars standing still, a little bit better results. Now, on the move that Jordan makes in turning the corner, Sally goes up, and Chuck Daly felt this was a lot of ball and not any body or arm on that one. Chuck felt he should have had a jump ball at least out of that last play.
Michael Jordan, 83% from the foul line. Chuck Daly in his 9th year is head coach of the Pistons, winningest coach in the history of the franchise, but he has had a most intriguing couple of weeks. All the off-the-court activities swirling around the Pistons. A week and a half ago, the report that Chuck told his players at a team meeting that he would resign as coach at the end of the season. Chuck not confirming or denying that report. Here's Dumars. Yes. So the Bulls now lead it by the score of 12-6. It has been an open secret that Chuck Daly and general manager Jack McCloskey have not had a good relationship. And then last week, Bill Laimbeer dropped the bombshell as Jordan gets the roll. Laimbeer blamed McCloskey, saying that Jack destroyed the team's family atmosphere with some of what he felt was questionable player moves, and also felt that it was not fair to Chuck Daly that he was being left out there as Thomas cuts it to a 6-point full lead, and that there were no statements being made about Chuck's future. And Chuck's been a very popular coach, so several of his players have come to action. Won't count. Offensive foul is called. Several players have been backing up Chuck, and we'll hear some of those comments a little bit later on. I mentioned a moment ago, several Pistons have been upset regarding Detroit's management's handling of the Chuck Daly Detroit coaching future. We talked about it with Isaiah Thomas.
We understand that the next coach coming in here is going to have a very difficult time with this ball club. I mean, there are no more Chuck Dalys in the world, and you know it's been a gravy train ride for Laimbeer, myself, Dumars, and you know even Aguirre, Rodman, Sally. The next coach coming in here, he's gonna have a tough time.
Spoke to Isaiah Thomas before the game, and his feeling was that there may be a lot of things changing with the Detroit Pistons come the end of the season. Basically, stay tuned and see what happens.
Well, Laimbeer also made the point, nothing personal against Ron Rothstein, who is now an executive with the club and a color commentator for Piston television games, former coach of the Miami Heat, but he felt that it's unfair to Chuck Daly that Ron has been kind of waiting in the wings, just out there in case a change is made. Woolridge with the block.
Well, it's not like they haven't done this before, bring in former head coaches to work their radio TV games. You're talking about guys like Dick Carter and Dick Motta and Hubie Brown and Kevin Locklear was there. A number of them have been there in the past. It's just that Ronnie's contract was a little larger than the other guys, and the feeling by the players is that Jack McCluskey had something more in mind.
5:35 remaining in the first quarter. Bulls lead it by the score of 14-8. Here's Rodman. That's two-point range. And a leaping Pippen able to counter the rebound. Pistons able to get back. Bulls were trying to break. Pippen met by Sally. So Scottie Pippen gives Chicago a 16-8 lead.
Between Jordan and Pippen shooting the ball as well as they do, forget Paxson. He's a given that he's going to make his open jumpers. You just have to make a decision what you want to do in defending these two guys. They make the open shot, which puts so much pressure on the defense.
Dumars. Two Pistons to the boards. Crowd looking for a travel as Sally was battling with his teammate Rodman. Dumars met by Cartwright. Goes to the reverse. Pippen off with a shot, and it'll be Chicago ball.
Joe Dumars trying to weave his way through the crowd down there, and the defensive rotations by Chicago. Michael Jordan at the last second, running in front of Dumars and breaking his concentration. There, Jordan goes in front, but no contact. At the same time, you got Pippen flying from behind your head. That's not easy to keep your concentration.
Chicago has opened up by hitting 7 of its first 10. Cartwright putting the move and draws the foul.
And the Bulls come down immediately and notice the matchup of Woolridge on Cartwright. That's the guy they want to go to here in the first quarter. Get Bill the basketball. That time Bill makes the quick move on Woolridge, picks up the foul.
It is a non-shooting foul. Scott Williams, Bill Cartwright, Scottie Pippen up front, Michael Jordan, John Paxson in the backcourt. Bill Cartwright is getting excellent position.
Well, he's too big, he's too strong, and it may be time to bring a bigger body, stronger body off the bench for Detroit to get Bill Cartwright out of his favorite spot. The 2 points of emphasis Phil Jackson mentioned yesterday are defense has to get better and offensive execution.
And a loose ball foul called on the Bulls. It's on Cartwright, his first.
If you let Bill camp down this low and get in the red paint with that little fade on his shot, it just becomes no contest down there for Bill versus Orlando Woolridge.
As a result, Cartwright has opened up by hitting 3 of his first 4. And the Bulls love to get Cartwright involved early. Woolridge on the recovery. Orlando Woolridge with his second bucket. And the Bulls now lead 18-10.
Scottie Pippen got caught on Woolridge's back, took a gamble, and came on the outside for the steal. Good recovery that time by Orlando.
Woolridge tried to draw the foul.
As Orlando laid on the ground, first he turned to the Piston bench as if to say, would you please send somebody in here to guard this guy? Then turned back to the officials and said, come on, there's got to be something.
Well, Chuck Daly has just the man, and you can hear
a popular decision.
Yes. The greeting as Bill Laimbeer comes off the bench. A gorgeous move by Isaiah Thomas, and he drew the foul. And here comes Bill Laimbeer.
Isaiah Thomas, a man of many moves, many tricks, just spins it up, and grabs, catches the rim, and bites. On the line now for the opportunity for a three-point play.
Cartwright called for the foul, his second. Well, on today's edition of Showtime, in an interview with Quinn Buckner, although I would think that many of the fans here booing Bill Laimbeer are doing so out of residue from previous grievances. Yes, they did not see the pregame interview with Quinn. Jordan goes to the hook shot. Had they seen it, the boos might have been even louder because Bill lashed out at Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls. We'll play a piece of it a little bit later on. Last touch by Laimbeer. And we'll also hear from Jordan. We asked for his reaction, and you will hear that a bit later on. Timeout call with 2:59 remaining in the first. earlier today on Showtime in an interview with Quinn Buckner, Bill Laimbeer strongly criticized Michael Jordan, as we just mentioned a moment ago, in explaining why the Pistons walked off the court in last year's playoff before the game ended. Laimbeer upset, he said, with Jordan's harsh statements about Detroit players prior to the start of their playoff series last year. Now here's Laimbeer, a piece of what he had to say, followed by Jordan's response.
Who is he? I mean, all he does is play basketball. In the world, he's this big. I mean, he may be up there because he has publicists and media and pumping him up. But as a individual, down-to-earth, heart person, he has. I mean, who is he? Who cares about him? It's a guy with an opinion. Everybody's got their opinion. You got an opinion, I got an opinion, Bill Laimbeer's got an opinion, and it's going to be totally different at certain times. So it doesn't bother me to see other people give their opinions about certain things. If you're going to ask me my opinion, I'm going to give it to you. But it doesn't bother me as a person in terms of what I have to do in the basketball court. I'm going to go out and I'm going to play. And I'm aware of what his opinions are, but it's not going to affect the way I live.
And I have an opinion. I don't think these two teams like each other a whole lot. And I think that Michael Jordan is just taking the middle-of-the-road approach, just trying to be a nice, conservative guy, but that burns him up down deep inside.
You know, Mike, when these two clubs together, it is almost a National Hockey League type mentality. All the bickering back and forth, setting things up, intimidation, mind games. Off the Detroit turnover, the Bulls get it back. They lead 20-13. Shot clock is out of 10. Jordan with a beautiful move.
On the split action that Chicago ran at its offensive end of the floor, Dumars switched out on Paxson. It left Isaiah Thomas guarding Michael Jordan. Isaiah went for the steal. He knew he was too small to guard Michael posting up.
Woolridge with the tip. Orlando Woolridge able to slide inside. He has 6. The Bulls 22. The Pistons 15-15 remaining. In the first, Marv Albert, Mike Fratello, Ahmad Rashad from Chicago Stadium. Stacey King. And the loose ball foul with Sally taking a shove. It's on Cartwright, so that's 3 on Bill.
Something that the Bulls have gotten away from during the regular season a whole lot is posting up Michael Jordan. They know they can do that whenever they want. They'll save it come playoff time. Shot up, loose ball foul. Cartwright shoving off on the long rebound.
Cartwright forced to sit down. Will Perdue will check in. Cartwright off to the fast start. He's hit 4 out of 5 for 8 points. Bulls over the limit, so John Sally to the line. Bill Cartwright has been bothered by tendonitis in his knees. He's indicated that he might have an operation on the knees after the season if the pain does not go away. Right now he feels he can make it through the playoffs and withstand the pain. John Paxson also said that he may have surgery after the season because of tendonitis in his left knee.
You mentioned Cartwright 4 out of 5 to start the game. That happens so many times for Chicago. Bill is averaging only 7.9 points per game. Last 3 quarters, other guys seem to get more involved.
Just under 2 minutes remaining in this first quarter. Here's Laimbeer. And Thomas gets it back. Puts the move on Jordan. Isaiah Thomas with 7 points. The Bulls in the midst of a 9-2 run are now trailing. I should say the Pistons now trailing by only 3. Oh, nice tip by King. Stacey King with his first field goal. Chicago 24 and Detroit 19.
Chuck Daly not very happy with the fact that they're giving up offensive rebounds to the Bulls' second chance opportunities to score the basketball. Chuck loves defensive rebounding.
Dumars spotting Sally through the stump. Another opportunity. Phil Jackson in a rage. He wants a travel call.
And John Sally missed the first opportunity only because he was trying to get it up there so quick so that it wasn't blocked by a rotating Bulls player. He made up for it.
The Bulls 24, the Pistons 21.
The post-up of Jordan once again taking a look at how Detroit's going to play it.
Pippen surprised to get that pass. Woolridge, that's off the leg of Pippen.
That is the second bounce pass that Woolridge has thrown into somebody's foot. A quick lefty look to Sally, and John trying to get up there a little bit too fast. has to take a second chance to make it work.
Scott Williams back, replacing Stacey King. Detroit with an 11-4 run, and they're down by only 3. Thomas with the step. Woolridge and Purdue with the rebound. Half-minute left in the first. Paxson played by Lambier. Williams is fouled. Sally all over him.
Joe Dumars, trying to save a layup, came all the way across the floor, spotted the open goal on the baseline. Scott Williams made the strong rotation, just a little bit late, a little piece of the arm.
Change on that foul call. It is Dumars rather than Sally.
Joe Dumars saying to his teammate, look, guys, I can guard Michael Jordan. That's enough of a problem. Will you guys please find your own people and let me stay with Michael?
And here's Stacey King, who has been on a shuttle in this first quarter. Will Purdue will sit down. Scott Williams, only a 65% free throw shooter. Scott Williams last year, the only rookie on the Bulls roster, did a nice job come playoff time. Pressure as Jordan nearly picked it off. He was looking for a foul. You can hear the reaction from the crowd. Dumars plays the clock down, 10 seconds left. Dumars forced to the bad pass. Good play by Paxson. Final seconds. Jordan gets it ahead. Pippen will not get the shot off. And that is the end of the first quarter. The score after one here in Chicago. The Bulls 26, the Pistons 21. Isaiah 3 for 6. Michael 3 for 8. We'll be back in Chicago with the second quarter in just a moment. Easter Sunday in Chicago, a 72-degree cloudy day in the windy city as we head to the second quarter. Earlier today in Boston, the Celtics defeated the Miami Heat 109-93. Boston wins the Atlantic Division. And if the playoffs were to begin today, it would be Chicago against Atlanta in the first round. We know for sure it will be the Knicks in Detroit, New Jersey, Cleveland, Indiana, Boston. The one question is who Chicago will face in the opening round. If Atlanta wins tonight, they are in the playoffs. If Atlanta loses, it will be Miami in the playoffs, opening against the Bulls.
Well, with the way Indiana played last year against the Celtics, they got to feel pretty good about themselves and their chances of knocking the Celtics out in the first round of the playoffs. I think that Boston's a little bit concerned about that matchup also.
And the Knicks and Detroit can flash back to last Sunday afternoon. We were there for that 61-point performance by the Knicks, although the Knicks had played the Pistons extremely well. At one stretch, they'd won 5 in a row, but the Pistons have won the last 2 meetings. Foul call against Detroit. Offensive foul. It is on Aguirre, who just came on. B.J. Armstrong has checked in for the first time, as has Cliff Levingston.
I don't think there's any question that that matchup of Detroit versus New York, that can go either way. Both coaches feel that way. I think the teams, and talking with both of them, they know they have a great deal of respect for one another, and it's going to be each day who's playing the best and making the big plays. That's a hard one to call.
Well, the question there is, can the Knicks adjust to the successful double teaming that Detroit pulled off against Patrick Ewing? The Knick outside game has been horrible recently. Michael Jordan now has 10 points. The Knicks did turn it last night against the Bucks in Milwaukee, getting strong performances from Mark Jackson and John Starks. But that's the question when they go against Detroit. Can the open men hit when the Pistons double up on Ewing? Aguirre rebounded by Williams. But how about the Celtics taking the division despite being 5 games back with 8 to play, and they do it without Larry Bird. Lambier and Williams in a battle, getting a rise out of the crowd. Here's Jordan, lost it. Darrell Walker. Now in the the backcourt with Isaiah Thomas, Bill Laimbeer, Mark Aguirre, and Dennis Rodman up front. Rodman for three. Air ball. And he hears it from the crowd.
Well, Dennis shoots him so well in practice that Chuck lets him have one early in the game, and that's enough.
How about this? Only one rebound to this point for Dennis Rodman. The Bulls have done a nice job boxing him out to this point. He leads the NBA, averaging almost 19 rebounds per game. Double team on Jordan. Gave it up to Livingston. Found the open man. Nicely done.
The key to Chicago's success offensively is the fact that they are willing to share the basketball, play unselfishly, reverse the ball, and they know where to look for an open teammate.
The Bulls 30. The Pistons 21. Thomas. Yes. Isaiah Thomas with his fourth bucket. He has 9. A 7-point Chicago lead. 2.5 gone by in the second quarter. Michael Jordan thus far 4 for 9. He has 10 points. Jordan on the pull-up. Foul by Walker. Jordan to the line with Walker called for his first. Michael checking himself out.
The NBA on NBC is brought to you by Mitsubishi, bringing you a full line of award-winning automobiles. Mitsubishi, the word is getting around. By Microsoft, making personal computing easier. And by Sharps from Miller, the breakthrough non-alcoholic brew that lets you keep your edge.
Ahmad Rashad back at the Chicago Stadium. Now, one of the big drawbacks for Michael Jordan, he has said lately, is that for his popularity, he's never able to blend into a crowd. So he has gone the Michael Jackson route with all these different disguises. Here you see him as a little old grandmother there. That's one disguise. And here's another one. He's a construction worker, obviously it looks like. And here he is, I guess that's Link from Mod Squad or something. That's from way out of the past. And here's his favorite outfit, a cowboy outfit. But do me a favor, when you see him in one of these outfits, give him a break.
All right, Ahmad, that seen in the recent edition of Sports Illustrated for Kids. Michael Jordan, as we were headed to commercial, was checking himself out. Apparently he got scratched on that foul that was called on Darrell Walker. Michael Jordan sat out last Tuesday against the Cavaliers because of tendonitis in his left knee. And the Bulls lost to the Cavs by 15. Michael saying that he feels fine. That's only the second game he missed this season. The other missed the suspension for bumping the referee Tommy Wood in that triple overtime loss at Utah. Aguirre posting and rejected. B.J. Armstrong gets it down. Pippen for Williams. And Scott Williams, pushed by Mark Aguirre, will go to the line.
The Bulls know that when Mark Aguirre puts the ball on the floor, he probably is going to wind up shooting it. So you have 1, 2, 3 Chicago Bulls players running at the basketball, and then the long pitch-ahead pass, advancing the ball with the pass rather than the dribble, leads to easy scoring opportunities.
Bill Laimbeer called for the push, and Williams back to the line. The Bulls lead 33-23. Greg Hodges makes his first appearance. Michael Jordan will get a rest. So Michael sits down with 12, 4 for 9 from the floor, 4 for 4 from the line. And that was only rebound number 2 for Rodman, but Walker lost it.
With most teams in the league, when you get a rebound, secure it, and you're ready to give it over to your guard to bring it up, they leave you alone. They fall back on defense. But Chicago, Phil Jackson making a statement to him, we need to up the presence of our defense, stays after you. They're always there trying to challenge outlet passes, trying to steal handoffs to body.
Scott Williams doing it off the dribble. He has 5 points, and the Bulls lead at 35-23. That is their biggest lead. Aguirre using the screen. Mark Aguirre to mark his first field goal. He's averaged 14 a game over the last 5 games. He's picked it up. He's been getting the playing time. Livingston Pippen with the rebound. Without the reach in by Pippen.
When a young man gets his opportunities early in the game and winds up making a nice move and scoring, sometimes the young players get a little bit excited about that and they want to let their teammates know about it.
Scott Williams, a very active player. Coaches liked his skills last year, even when he was not getting the playing time. Lambier had it knocked away. Armstrong has a 3-on-2. Knocked out by Lambier.
We need to check this basketball. Both teams having the fumbles with the basketball. Detroit, more of a problem, but that time B.J. Armstrong trying to make a drop-off pass, just lost the handle on it.
Now Phil Jackson calls for a timeout. 7:36 remaining in the first half.
I knew there was a reason why they were having a hard time handling this basketball. Somebody sticking a tongue out on the funny face there. That's making a little slippery.
Mike, I know you spent some time chatting prior to the game with General Manager Jerry Krause of the Chicago Bulls because the Tony Kukoc stories have resurfaced. Tony, the Croatian star who is currently playing in the Italian League, was a Bulls second-round pick in the 1990 draft. It caused quite a stir last year when the Bulls reportedly were trying to sign him. This prior to coming to terms with some of Chicago's stars, and people like Scottie Pippen and others were unhappy that perhaps money would be put in Kukoc's direction before they settled up with some of the Chicago players. And now, as Lambier is called the foul, there were reports that the Bulls once again were interested in checking out Kukoc, who has a 4-year contract with Benetton of the Italian Pro League. Supposedly he does have an annual escape clause. What's the latest on Kukoc?
Well, the only thing that bothered Jerry Krause is the fact that the newspapers reported that it was a secret trip that he made over to Italy. Actually, he went over to watch the Final Four of the Italian Cup Championship taking place. Kukoc's team was involved as DJ misses the open jumper. And while he was there, obviously spent some time with Tony, who he has developed a relationship with. That escape clause does not take place this season, according to Jerry, nor next season. He would not say exactly when. He felt that should be a private matter between Kukoc and the team in Italy. But would he possibly at some time join this Bulls team down the road? Yes, a certain possibility.
Kukoc is 23 years old. He is a 6'10" player who can operate at the point guard because it's an excellent pass. It's tipped home by Rodman. Dennis Rodman with his first field goal. The Bulls now lead by 8.
And you may have heard that Kukoc underwent an operation earlier in the season for the problem in the bottom of his foot. Right now, Jerry Krause felt he's playing at about 70% of what he normally plays at, recovering from that surgery.
There's Armstrong. 6.5 remaining in the first half. Michael Jordan is getting set to return. Marv Albert with the czar of the telestrator, Mike Fratello, along with Ahmad Rashad from Chicago. It's our finale of the regular season. Our playoff coverage will get underway next Saturday and Sunday here on NBC. Craig Hodges called for the foul. Here's Jordan returning. And Pippen will sit down. Scottie Pippen leaves with 6 points. 3 for 5 from the field. Dumar's on a quick release. He thought it was hit, thought it was fouled. Well, Jordan and Armstrong in the backcourt. Livingston is up front, along with Williams. Actually, a 3-guard alignment. It's Hodges with Armstrong and Jordan. Michael posting up, swinging in.
He just took his time and waited for it to develop. He made the up and under move. Normally, you would go right up in the air and shoot it. Not Michael. He made the move. He paused. He let the defense go by. And then it looks easy. Here it comes. Up. Back under. And an easy score.
Hodges called for that foul. Walker. And a loose ball foul on the Pistons. Called on Sally. His second. 4th team foul committed by Detroit. Isaiah Thomas is back, replacing Darrell Walker. Chicago Bulls with a record of 66-15, 66 victories, a franchise record. They 10 of the last 12. The 2 losses in that stretch at Boston and at Cleveland. Armstrong is fouled.
Personal foul, 11
on Thomas. Also, Chicago is 35-5 here at home. A win today would match their all-time best at home. Phil Jackson's club has won 7 straight here at Chicago Stadium. 12 of 14.
With the lineup on the floor right now, B.J. Armstrong, Hodges, and Jordan. Michael becomes the small forward on offense. Last time he was down in the low post area for Chicago. But the interesting thing to me is the matchup that Detroit went with. Dennis Rodman, rather than guarding Michael Jordan, was outside guarding Craig Hodges, who we know is going to be way behind the three-point line. It's going to pull the best rebounder in the NBA way out from the basket.
And Dennis Rodman with only 5 rebounds thus far this first half. B.J. Armstrong likes to take his time at the line. He comes off a strong game Friday night against Atlanta, 6 of 7, 12 points. He's averaged just under 13 the last 3 games.
Nice pass by Isaiah.
As he spotted Sally, who beat the Bulls down court.
You're talking about throwing an off-the-dribble pass from about the mid-court line on the money under the rim. Through traffic.
The Bulls by 10 with 5 minutes remaining first half. Williams. And it's swept by Aguirre. Aguirre for 3. Williams with the box out. Thomas with the steal. Thomas stripping Jordan. Sally. Crowd wanted to travel. And here's Isaiah for 3. Sally rejected by Livingston.
Chicago not giving you anything easy today. The defensive intensity has definitely picked up for the Bulls.
Scott Williams done a nice job. Dumar's got a piece of it. It will be Chicago ball.
Isaiah Thomas advancing the ball, being pressured, finds his teammate under the rim. One heck of a pass by Isaiah. And then he turns right around, doing it at the offensive end, gets a little piece, and steals it from Michael at the defensive end of the floor. A good move by Isaiah.
Now John Paxson, Scottie Pippen return, replacing Craig Hodges and B.J. Armstrong. Phil Jackson has been using his bench here in the first half. He's had extra opportunity because of the back injury at a sideline. Horace Grant sitting it out today. Stacey King started. He and Scott Williams have been splitting the duties in the first half. And the foul called on Thomas.
Isaiah Thomas was just upset with the last call, which gave Chicago possession of the basketball. That time came off of Paxson, tried to run from behind and anticipate where the block shot was going to come from. He felt he got all ball. Chuck Daly felt he got all ball. Put a little bit of pressure on the younger official out there. Isaiah sneaking from behind, something Michael Jordan likes to do to opponents. Foul called on Isaiah.
And this always an intriguing matchup. There is no great love, as you are well aware, between Michael Jordan and Isaiah Thomas.
I talked with Isaiah prior to the game about the statements made by Michael in a recent article published by Playboy. And here are the things that came across from Isaiah. You don't know how long ago the article was written, number one. Since that time, they have met and talked, in fact, here at Chicago Stadium when the lights went out during a recent game. And the third point is, Isaiah said, I have no ill feelings towards Michael Jordan. We both have moved on past that and are just concerned about winning basketball games.
Supposedly, they did have a long chat when the lights went out. But you still get the idea that they are not best of friends, and they don't have to be. Paxson for three. And Aguirre with the rebound, and he threw it away. But the question is, does Jordan still hold the grudge from the freeze-out of the All-Star game? That appears to be what got it all going.
Well, that was also in the article. We're talking about the freeze-out, and here are the two sides of it. According to Michael, they definitely looked away from him rather than towards him in the game. According to Isaiah, it was a rookie having a bad first All-Star game.
A three-pointer for Rodman. The first one he served up was an air ball. He heard it from the crowd. Now he hits, and he celebrated that in animated fashion. Let's go to Ahmad.
All right, Marv, on the situation between Isaiah Thomas and Michael Jordan, I know both of these fellows very well, and I have never heard either one of them say anything negative about the other one, but I have read many times certain statements in the press, but I've never heard either one of them say bad things about the other.
Actually, what they are unified on is their dislike for Ahmad, but they haven't brought that up. We'll get back to that later on. Thank you, Bob. With the Bulls leading the Pistons 41-32, 2:26 to go in the second quarter. And let us go back to Ahmad, who's alongside the general manager of the Chicago Bulls, Jerry Krause. Ahmad?
All right, thanks, Marv. Jerry, now, this time of the year again, all the rumors abound about Tony Kukoc. I know you were in Italy. I heard that it was a clandestine meeting. You're trying to get him back to play in the playoffs this year. What is that all about?
There's no truth to that at all. I went over to see the Italian Final Four, and Tony was playing in it, and he's an outstanding young man, and someday in the future, down the line, we would hope to have him here, but it's certainly not going to be now, and it's not going to be next year, and we'll just have to wait and see what happens. When he makes a decision that he wants to come, and we have the cap room, and all the other things can get done that have to be done to do it, then we'll think about it. But it's not going to be now, and it wasn't a clandestine meeting.
Now, I understand that he has a loophole where he can get out of the contract.
Well, down the line, he has some things that hopefully that he'll be able to come over at the proper time, and we'll just have to wait and see. In the meantime, all we're interested in is winning a championship this year, and then we just want to keep on winning, and hopefully somewhere down the line, Tony Kukoc will be a Bull.
But not this year, not next year.
No, we don't anticipate that at all.
All right, thanks, Jerry. Okay. All right, Marv.
Thanks, Ahmad. The Pistons have hit only 2 of their last 10 from the field. And it's a 24-second violation, so the ball goes back to Chicago with 1 minute and 47 remaining in the first half, and the Bulls leading now 43-32.
I think Orlando would like the Pistons to start the offense through anyone else other than himself. He's tired of what's happening right now, all the double and triple teams.
Excellent possession by Scott Williams. 7 points and 4 rebounds for Scott Williams, the second-year man from the Tar Heels of North Carolina. Another tough defensive sequence by the Bulls. Sally with the recovery. Phil Jackson wanted a travel call. The Bulls lead it 45-34. Stacey King rejected by John Sally, and a foul is called. Wally Rooney making the call from the sideline. It's on King.
Isaiah Thomas is all over the place this afternoon. After Sally goes up once and then blocks it clean. Isaiah's on the move. He's gone for a layup before the takedown.
Thomas played by Paxson. Isaiah draws the double team, and he drew the foul.
Chicago, personal foul, 33, Scottie Pippen is first.
Scottie Pippen called for the personal. Will Perdue checking back in.
Bulls are using a little bit of a half-court trap here, trying to get Detroit to spread the floor, take them out of their set plays, and at the same time, I would think Phil Jackson getting a look at it for perhaps a future meeting down the road with this team.
The Pistons with only 14 points the second quarter. Chicago has won 3 of the previous 4 against Detroit. Detroit has dropped 6 in a row here in Chicago, including the playoffs. The lone Detroit win over Chicago this season took place at the Palace in late February. A 2-point ball game, 108-106. Both games here were blowouts for Chicago. And Jordan tripped up by Dumars. And the Pistons again upset. Both clubs have been very visibly upset about calls here in the first half.
Well, Dumars doesn't like the idea that he thinks they allowed Jordan to get a running start to back him up. There's the first shot, then on the second one, Dumars just takes him down. First shot, and then the second one is a takedown.
Jordan, 7 for 7. From the line, Michael Jordan on his way to a 6th straight scoring championship. The record 7 straight by Wilt Chamberlain. Michael averaging 30 per ball game, followed by Karl Malone, Chris Mullin, and Clyde Drexler.
Just to be fair to all other 2 guards, off guards, scoring guards that we have telecast versus Michael Jordan, another young man who tries to dig in and have a good game against him. Joe Dumars struggling this afternoon, 2 for 10 from the floor. He's taking Dumars out of his game as Michael Jordan has done to so many other great players. Not only do you have to guard Michael Jordan, but then he chases you at the other end, and it's not easy getting shots off against him.
Shot clock running down. Illegal defense called on the Bulls with 1 on the 24. So that is the
Technical foul. In the last 24 seconds.
that is a technical foul with the illegal defense taking place in the last 24 seconds, and Dumars will shoot the technical, making his first appearance at the line, one of the better free throw shooters in the league. The Bulls lead 47-36. 6 and 6/10 seconds remaining in the half. Thomas for 3. So that is the end of the first half. The Bulls lead it by 11. Michael Jordan, the high man, 5 for 10 from the floor, 18 points, along with 5 assists. Coming up on the Prudential Halftime Report, Bob Costas and Quinn Buckner will bring you up to date on the playoff picture. They'll have highlights of the Heat's Celtics game as well as post-game reaction. That's coming up on the Prudential Halftime Report. Stay with us. Capacity crowd 17,334 on hand here at Chicago Stadium. 231st consecutive sellout as you see the leading scorers in the first half. Thomas, high man for Detroit with 10. Jordan leading Chicago with 18. 3 fouls apiece on Cartwright and King. Bill Cartwright got off to the fast start, then sat after picking up his third. Cartwright starting in the second half. The alley-oop did not work. Detroit was right on the case. Thomas. Cartwright slapping it away. And the Pistons maintain possession. Thomas and Dumars in the backcourt. Rodman up front with Sally and Woolridge. We're just underway in the third quarter here in Chicago.
That last little pass back to Sally, if that were Bill Laimbeer, you got Chicago rotating hard to take away the shot. Instead, with Sally, they back off, tell him, go ahead, shoot it from out there, so it takes part of the offensive weaponry away from Detroit.
Dumars calling for time. He's shaken up. It's a 20-second timeout. Looks like Dumars got scratched. The Piston trainer, Mike Abdenauer, taking a look. Bulls seem to be relaxed.
Mike Abdenauer working on the fact that Dumars said there was a shooting pain that went down from the elbow down into the hand.
Well, let's check it out with the Marv.
All right, Marv, Dumars just got a shot to the elbow, sometimes called the funny bone, but usually when it's somebody else's bone, it's funny. Lost a little feeling in the hand, but he's fine.
Usually when it's someone else's bone, it's funny, huh? Sally.
Chicago, personal foul, +1.
Foul committed by King. That is his fourth. Stacey King receiving the playing time today in the absence of Horace Grant, sidelined by a back problem. John Sally on the line. He's 2 for 2 from the foul line. John Sally has been getting the playing time. He has been the starter for a good portion of the season, what with the injury suffered by Bill Laimbeer. And as a result, he's at a career high 9 points per game. John, the 6th year out of Georgia Tech. So he is perfect at the line. Bill Laimbeer playing only 8 minutes in the first half. Chicago leading now 47-38. They double up on Jordan. Paxson. The John Paxson specialty. The Bulls swinging the ball, finding him open, and he drills it home.
Actually, the ball changed sides of the floor twice that time. It got over to the weak side on a little flash post action, then they reversed it back over to the opposite side, which was the triangle side, for the shot.
Bulls with the ball and an 11-point lead, and a foul called on Thomas, who does not like it. That's 3 on Isaiah. Isaiah Thomas, a native of Chicago, picking up his 3rd foul as he tried a double team. Cartwright establishing position. Bill Cartwright is hit on 5 out of 6. He has 10 points. The Bulls 51, the Pistons 38.
Bill Cartwright is an early game, early second half specialist. That's when he gets the basketball. Those are his opportunities. He's making the most of them this afternoon.
Thomas went high off the glass. He had to alter that shot and was able to connect. Jordan. And Cartwright gets it back. Foul called on Sally. Basketball count.
Isaiah Thomas, one of the players that has the great ability to change in the middle of the air. That was supposed to be a regular jumper. Instead, because the defensive player was up in his face, changed the arc on the ball, high off the glass, drops it in.
Jordan will go back to the line. Dumars called for his 3rd.
Michael Jordan knows he's a little too big, a little too strong for Dumars. The key is, can he get the shot off before Woolbridge comes over to form the double team? That time, no problem with it.
Michael is 9 for 9 from the line. He has 19 points. Isaiah still discussing that last foul with one of the officials, Ted Bernhardt.
Isaiah explaining how he would have called it had he been the official.
Oh, look out. That's a charge. And Thomas is hurt. Paxson is shaken up. Oh, what a shot. Isaiah Thomas ramming with John Paxson.
Well, they both guessed. Isaiah guessed that he could dip in and go out. Paxson guessed he was going to wind up going out. Both guys in the same spot at the same time. It doesn't work.
Well, both indicate they're all right. Although Chuck Daly sits Isaiah Thomas down. That's 4 fouls on Thomas. Darrell Walker has returned. Michael Jordan. 22 for Jordan. Biggest lead of the day for the Bulls. A 15-point margin with 3 minutes gone by in the 3rd. And Sally hit on the reach by Scott Williams.
You know, in the beginning of the game, Ahmad mentioned to us all the injuries that were taking place. After 82 games at this pace and with this type of action, no wonder why a lot of the guys have bumps and bruises. And those people, the trainers, Mike Abdenauer there for Detroit, certainly earn their money.
John Sally at the line, shooting 2.
And John Sally back to the foul line. John is only a career 69% free throw shooter, but he's hit all 4 thus far. The Detroit Pistons, with a record of 48 and 33, they have won 6 of their last 7. They come off a loss at home to the sizzling Boston Celtics. That was Wednesday night. Boston took 4 out of 4 this season against Detroit. And with the Celtics knocking off Miami earlier this afternoon up in Boston, it is known now that the Pistons, following today, will be preparing to face the New York Knicks in the first round of the playoffs. Scott Williams lost it, and the Pistons get it back.
As Detroit comes down on offense, they have not yet used the triangle offense, which they have stolen from Chicago.
See the season series between the Knicks and the Pistons. Here's Rodman. And a loose ball foul is called. Dennis Rodman picks up his first. Getting back to that season series between the Knicks and the Pistons. The Knicks won the first 2. And then in recent times, the Pistons have won the last 2. There was a stretch where the Knicks had beat the Pistons 5 in a row. The Pistons succeeding by manhandling Patrick Ewing, double and triple teaming him. They held him to a 4 for 20 in that victory against the Knicks last Sunday afternoon. Sally called for his 4th. The Knicks held to 61 points last Sunday. That's the second lowest performance since the inception of the 24-second clock. You hear the greeting for that man, Bill Laimbeer.
That should be a quiz for our viewers sometime. When they hear that noise taking place, who do you think is coming into the game for Detroit?
Well, with Detroit, it might be could be a multiple selection. At least here in Chicago. But it is the unmistakable sound of Bill Laimbeer making his entrance, replacing John Sally. The Bulls lead 57-42. Walker and Dumars now in the backcourt. Laimbeer with Rodman and Woolridge up front. Laimbeer, he's had a rush of shots.
They run at Bill every time they anticipate he might be the open receiver. They've got a guy rotating at him. He understands he's got to get it off quickly to get a look at the rim.
Now Cartwright working against Laimbeer. And hit. 17-point Chicago lead.
That little extra hop skip in there, and he's going to get a shot off on you.
8 points for Orlando Woolridge. Bulls 59 and the Pistons 44. Pippen, strong move by Scottie Pippen.
2 times during that series, the Bulls tried to get into the triangle set, or at least a 2-man game. Both guys, big men that flashed over to help Pippen out. In there, out of there, created the isolation. Pippen took advantage.
Shot clock is at 5. Rodman for 3. Yes. Dennis Rodman with his second three-pointer, and that reaction indicating the 3 drawing the boos from the crowd.
Just to remind the people who were booing him when he shot the air ball early in the game that he can do it.
Mistake by Williams. The Bulls lead it 63-47.
And Scott Williams wide open as a result of another little wrinkle in Chicago's half-court offense. The diagonal screen, small guard on big man.
Scott Williams has played a major role getting the time because of Horace Grant sitting out with a back problem. 9.6 rebounds for Williams. And he hits again.
Same exact play. That screen was set by John Paxson. The guy who got the open shot, Scott Williams, knocks it down.
Tex Winter, the Chicago Bulls assistant coach, master of the triple post offense. He is the man who devised what is known as the triangle.
The triangle formed by Chicago on one side of the floor has great flexibility. They have so many options within this offense. Started on the right side, stop it right there. You got a flash post, you got a guard around to give them some options right there. As they continue, it goes right back into a pick and roll situation. They've now reversed it from right side over to left, and now dribble penetration, kick it opposite, left side back to right, open shot by Paxson, and it's good.
Tex Winter devised the so-called triangle offensive scheme while he was coaching at Kansas State. He was the one-time head coach of the Houston Rockets, and he is spending his 7th season as an assistant with the Chicago Bulls.
I think Tex was concerned about other opponents in that conference stealing his plays. He sent every coach in the conference a copy of the book when it first came out. He wanted everybody to run it. He loves it so much.
Woolridge able to hit under pressure, and he thought he was fouled. The Bulls now lead 65-49. Rodman called for his second. Tex Winter telling us yesterday maybe he shouldn't have sent free copies to the other members of the conference.
He's actually redoing the book. We'll have a new version of it coming out, basically containing, the core material from the original book, but, he said I've updated it a little bit, like he's added Michael's name probably to the new book, Michael, along with Scott.
Well, the question at the start was the acceptance of the triangle by such as Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. Phil Jackson did a very convincing sales job on Jordan before he accepted it.
Tex mentioned that the toughest thing with talented players is to get them to give up the basketball because they all feel that they possess enough ability to do it themselves, get the score themselves, and it's hard for them to give it up and then move without the basketball sharing. That's what this offense encourages.
Well, Joe Dumars, who was 2 for 10, finally able to hit. The Bulls get it right back down, and King will go to the line. Woolridge called for the foul. An 18-9 run over 6 minutes by the Bulls, giving them this commanding lead. Stacey King to the foul line.
The Bulls on offense have 3 phases. The middle phase is called their storm phase. That's a designated big man running down the middle of the floor in transition to try and get an easy score. They change that up game to game. They change it within the game. That time, Stacey King, the man that they call the post-lane sprinter. That means get down there as fast as you can and find the spot in that red paint area.
Remaining in the third quarter, and the Bulls lead it 69-51. Another low-scoring affair for the Detroit Pistons, who have had their difficulties offensively throughout the season. Stacey King for Scottie Pippen. Yes, and it counts.
Chicago team is how many of their players possess the skills necessary to do it in all aspects of the game. A big guy leading the break, then dishing it off to Pippen, who finishes as well as anyone in the league.
And it comes back to Pippen. The Bulls have hit 8 of 9 from the field this third quarter. Pippen is stripped, and a foul called on Scotty.
That all started or began with Darrell Walker getting a piece of the ball, stripping Pippen as he tried to back him down into the low post area, and Isaiah rotating over to give help comes up with the basketball.
Thomas and Walker and Dumars now in a three-guard alignment. Bill Laimbeer is sitting down. Sally and Rodman up front. Here's Sally. The Bulls lead it 71-53.
Well, Chuck Daly had to make a decision. How long do you leave Bill out there with the injuries that he has right now, knowing the playoffs start in the middle of the week coming up and down 20 points? It may be better to rest him now and have him ready for the playoffs.
Traveling violation is called. We were talking a moment ago about the triangle offensive philosophy devised by assistant coach Tex Winter that has been utilized by the Bulls in recent years. Foul called on Paxson. At first, as we mentioned, Michael Jordan did not accept the concept, but Phil Jackson sold him on it, and we talked about it with that man.
Well, I think the better the basketball player is, the more you could expect that they might not necessarily want to accept it, because it involves, it's a team concept, and it involves giving up the ball. And the better talented an individual player is, the less he likes to give up the basketball. That's one of the real problems you have in the NBA. These guys are so talented individually that they oftentimes don't want to involve their teammates. They have the ability to do it on their own, and so why bother to involve other people? But I think that in Michael Jordan's credit, and Phil Jackson, who sold Michael Jordan on the idea that this is what we had to do to win, that Michael recognized that and went along with it. And at the end of last season in the NBA playoffs, well, we were tremendous with it.
Well, at the end of last season, that offense was running about as smoothly as you could ask it to run. I don't care who was defending them at that time. Everything was working. Everything was in sync. They were making their shots. And any criticism of Michael Jordan being a selfish player, he sacrificed. He was willing to run this offense if it meant he had a chance to win a championship.
Meanwhile, Isaiah Thomas has had a dreadful time of it here back in his hometown. He heard it from the Chicago Stadium crowd as he missed the 2 free throws, and he just picked up his 5th personal foul. Pippen with 11 points. The Bulls now lead 72-53. What is it about Sunday afternoons on NBC for the Detroit Pistons? They did win last week over the Knicks, but they scored only 72 points. Here we are winding down in the third, and Detroit with only 53 points. Dumars, yes. The Bulls lead it 73-55. Williams lost it. Thomas with Jordan back. So the Bulls lead 73-57. And Phil Jackson wants a timeout with 2 minutes and 47 seconds to go in the third quarter. Isaiah off the steal, and then Michael Jordan stepped away.
Bob Costas back in New York. Before we leave the air at about 6 o'clock Eastern time on this Easter Sunday evening, we're going to let you know what our projected schedule is for next Saturday and Sunday as we begin televising first-round playoff games. Now, the situation is still somewhat fluid, especially out in the Western Conference, but we're going to try to get a handle on what games we'll be showing you next Saturday and Sunday, because after all, we know that you make all your social engagements and family plans around our schedule here at NBC, so we want to give you a chance to pencil that in. So we'll be back in the next 20 minutes or half an hour to let you know what it is as soon as we can figure it out. Now let's go back to Chicago and rejoin Marv Albert and Mike Fratello.
Thank you, Bob. And the Chicago Bulls lead the Detroit Pistons 73-57. 2 minutes, 47 seconds remaining in the third quarter. The Bulls, 89% shooting here in the third. They've hit 8 of 9. Detroit has certainly picked it up, but look at the Pistons shooting only 41 and 32%. The first 2 quarters. Michael Jordan eluding 3 Pistons. And kept alive by Pippen. Again, Jordan trying to post up. Met by the double team. Pippen finding the open man, and King will go to the foul line.
To show the real lack of post-up game for Detroit, you look at the free throw attempts. Chicago, 25 free throw attempts, 23 for 25 from the line. Detroit, only 12 attempts, 9 for 12 from the line. It's the number of times that Chicago has taken it to the basket strong or have gotten themselves in good post-up position. Detroit, nothing down low inside on a steady basis.
5 fouls apiece on Sally and Thomas. Bulls 23 for 26 at the line. Chicago 74 and Detroit 57. Fifth and final meeting of the regular season between these two clubs. The Bulls with 3 out of 4 coming into today. Detroit has lost 6 straight here in Chicago. Walker rechecked it. The one Detroit win over Chicago came at the Palace February 25th, 108-106. The earlier games here were blowouts. Rodman, that is only his 7th rebound. And here's, oh, look out, Thomas was tripped up. Well, perhaps he just went down on a wet spot.
It doesn't look like he gets pushed. It looks like his feet just go out from under him right there. His left foot hits maybe a wet spot and lands on that backbone, tailbone. And he's trying to turn the corner and get in the seam. That's not a shove that caused that. That's a slip right there. I don't think Michael really pushed him hard enough or had any intent to push him there.
Pippen did get a little piece of him. And Pippen was called for the foul, but apparently Isaiah is all right. Yeah, Pippen tripped him up. Isaiah Thomas only 3 out of 6 from the free throw line. An 11-time All-Star, one of the game's great clutch shooters, although it has not been a pleasant afternoon for Isaiah and the Pistons. The Bulls now lead it by 15. Pippen. And a loose ball foul on Detroit.
Detroit trying to say that Chicago initiated that contact by flying in from the left-hand corner when the shot went up. John Sally was just trying to go up and grab a rebound.
And he is fouled out with 1:37 to go, third quarter.
From the left side of the screen, it's Scott Williams who has a running start. Sally's going straight up for the ball. Williams coming in from the left side. The officials felt John Sally was the one who was to blame.
And Brad Sellers, a one-time Chicago Bull, will make his first appearance of the ball game. Brad Sellers played in Greece last year after 3 years with Chicago, brief stints with Seattle and Minnesota.
A little better look at where Scott Williams starts from and where he ends up. Sally not being able to see Scott coming into it, just goes after the ball. Scott Williams initiates the contact, but is rewarded, goes to the free throw line.
Sally leads with 14 points. Minute and a half remaining in the third. The Bulls lead it by 16. Isaiah Thomas putting a move on, and he draws the foul.
Now from a third angle, lower left corner, there comes Scott in to get the rebound. John Sally never has a chance of seeing him, but Sally calls for the foul.
John Sally fouling out in the third quarter. P.J. Armstrong will make his return. return, replacing John Paxson, leads with 2 field goals, 4 points. The Bulls 75 and the Pistons 61. Bulls have led by as many as 20, and they have led all the way. Frank Hodges and B.J. Armstrong now in the backcourt. King open. Oh, the lefty stuff in the face of Brad Sellers. Phil Jackson getting strong games from both Stacey King and Scott Williams. Thomas to the line. Hit by Armstrong.
You don't realize the potential these 2 young guys have because of the playing time, but the drop-off pass to Stacey King. Stacey, only 2 years experience prior to this season. Scott Williams, 1 year. And these 2 young guys will be around, hopefully, for a lot of years with Chicago. And Phil Jackson has a lot of confidence in him. He plays them in critical situations. At key times during the basketball games, he used them in the playoffs last season.
Although many people surprised that Stacey King is still with the club. It was thought he'd be traded after last season. Had a disappointing first 2 years. A couple of controversial incidents of most significance. Last year, walked out of practice, suspended by the team, and there are still many who feel he will not be with this team next year.
Yeah, but I think that may have changed a little bit with the Cartwright injury factor. How well Bill is able to play, whether or not he does have surgery, and how well he bounces back from that. They need the big bodies down low inside, and if Cartwright does not bounce back next season after surgery, if in fact he has it, they need Stacey King here.
B.J. Armstrong to the line. He's 2 for 2 from the line. We have 42 seconds remaining in the third. The Bulls up 78-63, and the bench has certainly been a story this afternoon, and they have stepped up this season.
It all goes along with that confidence that Phil Jackson has in him, and when given the opportunity, they understand if they produce, he will continue to use them. Cliff Levingston, the key example, didn't play much during the regular season last year, got to the playoffs, a key factor in them winning the championship. Phil gave him a chance, he responded.
And you can see what the bench has done this afternoon. Only Bobby Hansen has not played, but he's been bothered by a sore ankle. Here's Sellers. And Scott Williams with a one-hand rebound. 11 rebounds for Williams. He scored a career-high 12 points. And that is a career-high 11 rebounds. Detroit will maintain possession. 10 seconds to go in the third quarter.
We saw that 15-2 advantage for Chicago as far as the bench play. Keep in mind, in past years with Vinnie Johnson coming off the bench of microwave, he was a guy, along with Aguirre, that could get them those big points. Aguirre struggling this afternoon, no VJ.
Thomas hits the three with 3/10 of a second left in the third quarter. Isaiah from downtown, so after 3, the Bulls lead it by 12. Scott Williams has been the man for the Chicago Bulls with the injury suffered by Horace Grant. Williams and King getting the playing time. Scott Williams with 12 points and 11 rebounds. The Bulls 78, the Pistons 66. We'll be back after these messages and a word from your local station.
Know how much time is left to end the quarter. Make sure you get a good look and then a good shot. Isaiah Thomas studies the situation with the clock running out. Knocks down a big 3, which pulls Detroit to within 12 and gives the Pistons an opportunity. If Dumars can bounce back with a big quarter or a Mark Aguirre off the bench, they still got a shot.
And Isaiah Thomas turning it around in the third quarter. 13 of his 23 came in the third. Pistons certainly picking it up after that 15-point second quarter. A 15-7 run by Detroit ended the third, so they cut that 20-point lead down to 12. Chicago came out hitting 8 of its first 9 and then went cold. It is Detroit ball as we get underway in the fourth. Pressure being shown by the Bulls, and Rodman able to handle it. Walker and Thomas in the backcourt. Rodman up front with Aguirre and Sellers. Brad Sellers came on for John Sally, who fouled out. Here is Thomas. Rebounded by Williams. Cliff Livingston is back in. Michael Jordan also makes his return. And Jordan throws the jump. Rebounded by Rodman. So Rodman hitting double figures, 10 rebounds, a low-key performance to this point for Dennis Rodman. We're just underway in the fourth. Sellers.
That's his specialty. If they get him free and he gets a good look, he's supposed to knock those shots down.
Michael Jordan. 26 points for number 23. The Bulls lead at 80-66.
You can see Michael Jordan grab his left side once again coming down. He's been trying to stretch that out from the beginning of the game. When he came back in after a timeout, he may have been hit with a screen or pulled a muscle in that rib cage area, but it still is bothering him.
Sellers try to set the pick, and a foul is called.
I mean, it's bothering him so much that he only has 26 points at this point in the game. But after the move on the way back down, you'll see Michael grab his left side, and that's the area that he just can't seem to loosen up, or else it's just still hurting. Right there, he's grabbing that left area on the side there, the hip area.
Sellers cannot buy one. He certainly had the opportunities. Aguirre getting a second chance, rejected by Livingston. Jordan putting the move on Walker, finding King. The Bulls lead at 82-66.
Well, Michael Jordan had nowhere to go, was up in the air, was behind the backboard, turned and looked at the glass from behind, and then just drops it off to a teammate for a layup.
Offensive foul. Aguirre called for a push-out and now hit with a technical foul. Mark Aguirre had something to say to the official, Wally Rooney, and got the tee.
Technical foul, Detroit, 23, Mark Aguirre.
A timeout has been called by Chicago. We'll be back after these words.
Attention, Bulls fans, the NBA has announced.
Miller Genuine Draft presents Genuine Memories.
Today's Miller Genuine Draft Genuine Memories spotlights two players who conclude the season in the record books once again. Michael Jordan headed for a sixth consecutive scoring title. The record is 7 by Wilt Chamberlain. And in the rebounding department, Dennis Rodman, averaging just under 19 per game. And he'll establish the highest average since back in 1972 when Wilt Chamberlain hauled down 19 rebounds per game. In recognition of these outstanding achievements, Miller Genuine Draft will donate $1,000 to the Thurgood Marshall Scholarship Fund. And Michael Jordan hits the technical.
Mark Aguirre.
A moment ago, Michael Jordan reached down, grabbed that lower left part of his back. It's been bothering him for the entire game. And let's go over to Ahmad on the sideline for a report on that.
Well, Mike, you hit it right on the head there. He did strain his back a little bit. He came to the game with a slight sprain and just sort of re-injured a little bit, but he's fine. He's still out there.
All right, Ahmad. Play resumes. Livingston is tripped up. Foul committed by Aguirre. Michael Jordan with 27 points.
Mark Aguirre still not happy with that last call. Kind of just throws Cliff off the floor.
All right, here's Jordan. So he has 29, and the Bulls lead it 85-66. go to the line.
I think everyone in the building was kind of anticipating as Michael faked him out by pretending he was going down under, switched out instead in the passing lane, and then the crowd held their breath in anticipation of what could have been a very hard collision.
Jordan is 13 for 13 from the line. He is looking for point number 30, which will guarantee that he will finish the season averaging 30 points per game or more the last 6 years. Michael 8 for 16 from the field this afternoon. And he's hit the 30-point mark. The Bulls open up a 20-point lead.
Frustration setting in with Detroit, wide open under the basket, but Livingston recovers, and Dumars just gives a little elbow, shoves him out of the way to get a clean look at the rim.
Pick and roll, and Stacey King not able to take advantage. Armstrong picks up the foul. Bench 1 of 15 from the field. Here's Dumars, and he has certainly struggled. He is now 4 for 13. Red Sellers, after missing his first 3, able to connect.
What's happened to Joe Dumars, Chicago has taken Michael Jordan off him and put Scottie Pippen on him. Not much difference there as far as who's playing. You're both more size, challenging all the time, and then the great athleticism. They're always around you. It's no easy afternoon at the offensive end.
Here's Rodman giving it up. Sellers. He checks it by Pippen. Livingston. The Bulls lead at 88-68.
And there's that transition part of their offense. Who's taking the low post area? That time Cliff Livingston got his opportunity.
Oh, strong move by Thomas. Putting the move on Jordan, and the Bulls now lead it 88-70. Chuck Daly opting to go with the seldom used Brad Sellers. Phil Lambier was having his difficulties, in fact, having trouble getting the shot off. Now, I don't know if Phil is ailing or just an opportunity for Chuck to get a look at Sellers, but he has not come back with Lambier.
There's no sense bringing him back now. If you need him for the playoffs, which begin early next week, down 18, 20 points. If you get it down to 6, 8, maybe you bring him back. Scottie Pippen turning a sure score.
Welcome back to Chicago with 6:50 to go in the fourth quarter, and Joe Dumars has had a long afternoon. Certainly having to contend with Michael Jordan has contributed to his 4 for 13, while Jordan has scored 30.
Well, that happens to a lot of guards that match up against Michael Jordan. They wind up getting scored on and have a very difficult time getting easy scores themselves. I think it's just a tribute to Michael Jordan playing both ends of the floor. Not to say that Joe Dumars hasn't carried this Detroit team on his back for a large portion of this season.
Well, the Pistons, after scoring 30 points in the third quarter, that's certainly a high number for this Detroit club, which struggles offensively. They've managed only 5 points the first 5 minutes and change of this fourth quarter. DJ Armstrong with his first field goal, and the Bulls lead at 90-71. Dumars for three. No, it's a two-pointer. He stepped on the line. 11 for Joe Dumars, and the Bulls now lead at 90-73. Chicago Bulls have been going at a blistering pace, shooting 55% for the game. For the season, they're just under 51. That is second in the NBA to Golden State. And the Bulls take over. Phil Jackson staying with Jordan and Armstrong in the backcourt. Livingston is up front with King and Pippen. Armstrong stopped and fouled. Sellers and Rodman converging. Sellers called for the foul.
B.J. Armstrong has just done an outstanding job this entire season filling in for John Paxson or replacing him during the course of the game. Much better shooter than you give him credit for, showing here his ability to penetrate, take it to the basket, and absorb the punishment.
Scott Williams getting set to return. Well, it remains to be seen whether the Chicago Bulls will be facing Miami or Atlanta in the first round of the playoffs. Depends on how Atlanta does tonight at Cleveland. In the season series, the Bulls 4-0 against Miami, 5-0 against Atlanta, and it was Friday night at the Omni where Chicago walloped the Hawks 121-95. Feeling seems to be, though, that the Bulls would have more difficulty with a club like Miami because Ronnie Cycli is such an agile center going up against Bill Cartwright as opposed to the Atlanta contingent in the middle.
Well, there's a lot of things that remain to be answered regarding who winds up playing Chicago. If you are Miami, do you hope that you don't make it so you get back in the lottery to get one more young player that perhaps really makes you jump up there the following season? If you're Atlanta, you want to be in the lottery perhaps and get an opportunity to try and rebuild that team a little bit quicker. Both teams against Chicago, obviously a big underdog, but the message is being sent by the Bulls. They're letting people know they walloped the Hawks the other night in Atlanta. Here they come out with Detroit this afternoon, which could be their second round opponent if both teams should move on and win. And all the things that Phil Jackson has asked this team to respond to, they've done. Their defense is more aggressive today. Their offensive execution is excellent, and they've sent the message to both those teams.
And as Rodman greeted as he line drives at home, 10 points for Rodman. Michael Jordan now with 32. We come up on 4 minutes remaining in this fourth quarter. It has been Chicago in command throughout. Armstrong. Loose ball foul. Called on the Pistons.
Dennis Rodman trying to get credit here for another three, but that right foot was on the white line, and they kind of came down in front of the bench and couldn't understand why the crowd was booing him. He said, hey, I just made an open shot. Give me a little credit, will you? I'm a nice guy.
Darrell Walker called for the foul. Will Perdue will check in. So Perdue replacing Pippen. Pippen leaves with 14. Livingston, Williams, and Perdue now up front. And Craig Hodges and B.J. Armstrong in the backcourt. So Michael Jordan sits down with 32 points. 9 for 17 from the field and 14 out of 15 from the line. Armstrong met by Rodman. Shot clock running down. Hodges able to get it off. And then Scott Williams comes up with his 14th rebound.
Scott Williams on that rebound pulled something behind his knee.
Perdue feeling around for the presence of Sellers and went to the left hand. Did not work. Loose ball foul on Livingston.
Scott Williams working hard to chase down the loose ball. When he comes up with it, and after the contact there by Dennis Rodman, just reaches down and says, he pulled something down there, but let me get back in the action. Time to play.
And apparently he is all right. Lance Blanks has checked in for the first time. Blanks replacing Isaiah Thomas, 28 points for Thomas. Lance Blanks, in his second year out of Texas, has not seen much action. Question of Lance Blanks, is he a shooting guard or a point guard? The Pistons were looking for a backup point guard, and he has not shown that the skills are suited for that position.
I think the staff feels that he is more of a two-guard off guard than he is a guy to run the show.
It is tipped home. Will Perdue with his first field goal. Looked like he jammed his finger in the process.
Yeah, but he's not going to show any pain after that one. He likes that play.
3 minutes remaining. In the fourth quarter, the Chicago Bulls on their way to win number 67. Rodman, a record of 67 and 15 will represent the fourth best record of all time, percentage-wise, and the Bulls will make it 6 wins the last 7 games, 11 out of 13. A very nice way to head to the playoffs as the Bulls look to defend their NBA championship. Sellers off the double pump, fouled by Livingston, and a timeout is called. We are down to 2:27 remaining. A reminder, next weekend it will be back-to-back days of doubleheader NBA first-round playoff action. Indiana and Boston from the Boston Garden on Saturday, followed by a Western Conference playoff game. It starts with showtime at 12:30. And then next Sunday, it'll be either Atlanta or Miami against the Chicago Bulls, followed by the Detroit Pistons and the New York Knicks. The start of our playoff coverage here on NBC. Fred Sellers at the free throw line. Thank you, our producer Tommy Roy, director Andy Rosenberg, our statistician, Mr. Stats, Elliot Cow. We're down to 2:20 remaining in the fourth quarter. It has been a Chicago blowout throughout to wrap up the regular season. The Bulls with an 18-point lead. They have led from the opening tip. The high point men, Michael Jordan with 32, 14 apiece for Scottie Pippen and Bill Cartwright. The Bulls have done it off the bench. Isaiah Thomas leading Detroit with 28. And the Bulls have to be delighted about the contribution of Lance Blanks. Scott Williams and Stacey King have done it. Williams with a career game, 12 points, 16 rebounds, and Stacey King with 11. Stacey drawing the starting assignment because of the back injury suffered by Horace Grant. Livingston is rejected by Sellers. Hodges able to peg it out. Here's Armstrong for 3. The Bulls 101 and the Pistons 82.
B.J. Armstrong is shooting over 40% from the three-point line this season.
Here's McCann, who just checked in. Chuck Daly emptying the bench. Livingston on the foul. Bob McCann receiving that pass from William Bedford. Bob McCann, a second-year player out of Morehead State. He's been on and off the injured list several occasions this year. Same for William Bedford, who was out with a sprained ankle for quite some time. It's the Bulls 101 and the Pistons 83. up to a record of 48-34. They had come in winners of 6 of their last 7. And as I mentioned, Scott Williams with a terrific all-around performance. Career highs with 12 points, 16 rebounds. McCann fouled again. Will Purdue picks up the foul.
Will Purdue early in the year, one of the first people brought into the game by Phil Jackson. Down the stretch, one of the last guys brought in the game by Phil Jackson. And as Will has mentioned a number of times down the stretch, it makes it difficult to get yourself mentally ready, not knowing if you're going to play one night or the next. On the other hand, he says, it keeps everybody on their toes, and Phil has this disorganized, organized way of putting his guys in.
A disorganized, organized way.
That's exactly how Will said it.
48 seconds remaining in the game. Lanks trying to work off the pick. And the Bulls get it back. Well, Chuck, I think, thinking about the New York Knicks, the Pistons and the Knicks to open up the playoffs. And as we mentioned a moment ago, the Bulls not sure whether they will face Miami or Atlanta. That's the second field goal for Cliff Livingston. Armstrong off the steal. Earlier today, the Celtics defeating Miami in Boston, 109-93. Brad Sellers. And Brad hearing it from the crowd, he a little bit animated following that stuff.
Well, he gave it the roar as he went in for the dunk. He gave it the roar to the crowd. The crowd kind of yawned at that one and said, wait a minute, where you been the whole game when Detroit needed you?
Final seconds, and that is it. McCann popping it too late. The Chicago Bulls with a convincing 103-85 win over the Detroit Pistons. So the Bulls finish 67-15. They have won 6 of their last 7, and Detroit ends up at 48-34. Michael Jordan, the high man, with 32.